Hello, this is Steve from Retroman Blog, and welcome to episode 5 of our Lockdown Lowdown series, in which I invite a few of my musical acquaintances, pals and chums along to tell us what they've been doing during lockdown, and it's sort of like a little soundtrack of their lives, you know, their life in song to keep us all entertained. And I'm very pleased and honoured to welcome into the virtual studio Mr. Duncan Reid of The Boys, and currently the big heads, not the little big heads.
We're all big heads.
Hi, Duncan. It's good to see you again.
And you, Steve?
That's been a while. I was just thinking it's probably over a year now. Last time I saw you was at the 100 Club gig.
Was it that long ago? That would have been over a year, because I think it was May last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Mauro from the Speedways was deputising on guitar. So
that's right. Because Sophia got very ill, and in fact was taken into hospital that day. So I rang up Mauro and said, "Are you coming down to see us tonight?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, bring your guitar." So he did an amazing job. We ran through the songs in the dressing room, and then he got up and did them, which is testament to how bloody good he is. But the funniest thing was, we did, although it was a year ago, we did a song off the new album, which is called Welcome to My World. And I'd forgotten to teach it to him. So I looked round, and there was this angry face looking me straight in the eyes, literally about a foot away from me, mouthing, "What the fuck are you playing?"
Well, you'd never have guessed.
No, because he would have never heard it before.
Yeah.
I was wondering what on earth to do, but no, he did an amazing job. He really did.
Yeah, I can't believe that was just all done on the night of the gig. I mean, that was some task, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he had played with us, for a year or so, of course, so he had a head start, but there was still a lot for him to A, remember, and B, to learn from scratch, because the set had moved on since he'd been in the band.
Well, you know, you've got, one of the reasons why I contacted you was obviously you've got a brand new album out with the big heads called Don't Blame Yourself, which is a great record. It
certainly is.
And so what I thought I'd do, we'll have a chat about that a little bit later or throughout the course of the conversation, but I want to go right back to the beginning now, find out a little bit about your musical upbringing. And just tell me, what was your earliest musical memory as a kid? You know, was there like a little light bulb moment that you heard or saw something that sparked you off on this musical journey?
Well, you know, music was always there, and in particular pop music, because I grew up in the early 60s when the Beatles and the Stones arrived, and my earliest memory is, you know, whether it was Christmas, whether it was Easter, or whether it was just an ordinary Sunday or something, was being in the front room at home, and all the grannies and aunties and the whole family were there, and on the TV it was probably the NME Awards or something like that. So you had all the bands at the time, like the Beatles and the Stones and the Searchers and what have you. And of course, everybody, including my granny, loved the Beatles. They were such nice boys, and look at them, they're so sweet. And then the Rolling Stones came on, and my grannies and aunties hated their guts. And Mick Jagger was playing around with the microphone and mucked up all the mic stands. So when the Searchers came on afterwards, the mic stands were wobbling all over the place. And that made my granny even angrier. Look what that nasty Mick Jagger's done to those poor, lovely little Searchers. So it was a family. The whole family was always talking about pop music. And so it was just surrounded by it. My mum liked it. Everybody liked all of that early stuff.
Yeah. So was there what were the Stones playing? Do you remember? Or was there a song that you particularly liked from them at the time?
Well, I think it was You Better Move On, which, of course, the Boys covered later on. It wasn't a song written by the Stones. They didn't really start writing until a little bit later on, did they? Most of their early sets were sort of blues standards or or whatever, and You Better Move On was a soul song from America, and I think it was that.
Well, let's hear it. Let's kick off the episode with Rolling Stones and You Better Move On.
You asked me to give up the hand of the girl I love. You tell me I'm not the man she's worthy of. But who are you to tell her who to love? That's up to her. Yes, and the Lord above. You better move on. Well, I know you can buy her a fancy clothes and diamond rings, but I believe she's happy with me without those things. Still, you beg me to set her free, but my friend, that will never be. You better move on. Now I don't blame you for loving her, but can't you understand, man, she's my girl, and I'm never, never, ever gonna let her go, 'cause I love her so. I think you better go.
Were your family musical? I mean, you said they liked music, but were they a musical family?
Not at all. Apart from my dad, and I didn't know this at the time, my dad was a bass player, and he hid it from me. I think he played the double bass and was carrying it around, but he also played the bass guitar. And I became a bass player later on when I discovered his old bass guitar in a cupboard, which he'd had there hidden away.
Oh, right. So you sort of grabbed the bass. Because one of the questions I was going to talk to you about, we can cover now actually, is the bass probably at the time, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't a particularly cool instrument, was it? I don't remember any bands who, it was always difficult to get the bass player. Everyone wanted to be...
Yeah, no, the bass player is normally the boring git at the back.
Yeah.
With one notable exception, of course, which is Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And I think he became the bass player because the Beatles had 3 guitarists and no bass player, and one of the guitarists had to give it up and play the bass.
Yeah.
So, being a singing bass player, he's always been, one of my inspirations. He's a great songwriter as well, so that also helps.
Was there a particular bass line or anything that you liked from Paul McCartney? What was there a Beatles song that you...
All of them. I mean, it was unique, especially when you get onto the later Sgt. Pepper and Magical Mystery Tour period, when he's really unique because he plays the bass guitar like a tuba, but at the same time is really, really melodic. Yeah. And I really love that.
Okay, pick a song from the Beatles then, one that would illustrate this one.
The most brilliant bass line I think ever did was Penny Lane.
Yeah.
If you listen to that, it just flows all over the place and really complements the song.
Penny Lane, there is a barber showing photographs of every head he's had the pleasure to know, and all the people that come and go stop and say hello. On the corner is a banker with a motor car. The little children laugh at him behind his back, and the banker never wears a Mac in the pouring rain. Very strange. Penny Lane is in my ears and in my eyes. There beneath the blue suburban skies, I sit and meanwhile back in Penny Lane there is a fireman with an hourglass.
Okay, that's great. That's the Beatles and Penny Lane. And did you have any other sort of bass playing idols at the time? Because again, for me, growing up just after punk, I was sort of into the Stranglers and Joy Division, and there was a lot of bass players at the time which were really striking. Paul Simonon. So there was a lot of role models as I started off playing bass as well, inspired by J.J. Burnell. But probably, pre-punk, when you're talking about the 60s and earlier 70s.
No,
was there any other bass players that stood out?
I've never been. I like playing the bass, and I like playing bass lines on records, what have you. And live, it's very comfortable. I've got something to hang on to while I perform, which is nice. But I've never been hung up about it. In fact, I once really upset. I think there's a magazine called Bass Guitarist, which is for really muso bassists who really get into what bass to play and, how many strings. And they gave me an interview and said, what improvement could you make to the bass guitar? And I said, take it from 4 strings down to 3, because it would make it easier. And they got really fed up with that. So no, I've never been hung up on bass guitarists. Yeah. I think Paul Simonon got it right in that it's important to look good.
Yeah, I mean him and Dee Ramone. I mean they, the low slung Fender and
another one who looked good. I mean a really amazing bass player, especially as I admire him because he also sings and jumps around a lot while playing some amazing bass lines. Is Bruce Foxton.
Yes.
I'm always awestruck whenever I've seen him, whether it was on early days with the Jam or later on with whatever he's doing. The bass lines he plays live while singing some quite intricate harmonies are difficult.
That's a good point, because he's often overlooked as a bassist, isn't he? Although you think about the components of the Jam, it was a lot about the drums and the bass. I mean, Paul Weller's guitar was often quite rhythmic, and a lot of the songs are driven by the bass and the drums,
There are 2 musicians who should never, ever be copied by other musicians because what they do is a recipe for disaster. But when they do it, are brilliant. Are Keith Moon and John Entwistle.
Yeah.
And both of them overplay totally.
Yeah.
And that's because Pete Townsend is largely just doing power chords because they're occupying all the space. Mm. And John Entwistle in particular is just going mad. He's all over the shop. He is brilliant at what he does. But most people who would copy him would just be a nuisance on a record.
No, that's a good point. That's true. And you picked a Who song for us, Pictures of Lily. Why this one in particular?
It was at that stage in the 60s when music was moving on. It's a great record. It really drives, and it's also really interesting. It's got really intricate guitar parts, really interesting arrangement. It's just a great song.
I used to wake up in the morning, I used to feel so bad. I got so sick of having sleepless nights, I went and told my dad. He said, son, now here's some little something, and stuck them on my wall. And now my nights ain't quite so lonely. In fact, I don't feel bad at all. I the bad at all. Pictures of Lily made my life so wonderful. Pictures of Lily help me sleep at night. Pictures of Lily solve my childhood problems. Pictures of Lily help me feel alright. Pictures of Lily, Lily, oh Lily, Lily, oh Lily, pictures of Lily.
So tell us about the first record you bought with your own pocket money. What was the first record you went out and bought?
Yeah, I was pretty young. I think I must have been about 8 or 10 or something. And I just loved it. It was called Grooving with Mr. Bloe by, I think it was called Mr. Bloe, wasn't it? It's just basically a long harmonica solo, but I thought it was really cool. And I'd like to say it was something, really, really classic song, maybe like Hey Joe by Jimi Hendrix, but it wasn't. It was Grooving with Mr. Bloe by Mr. Bloe. That was the first record I ever bought.
Actually, that's a great track. I love it. And I've heard it played recently at a few gigs and some decent DJs have played it. So it might not be as uncool as you think.
Well, it's a bit of bubblegum pop. And, there was some great other bubblegum pop at the time, like Tommy James and the Shondells and all of that. And it's got that same kind of drum beat.
Yeah, it's a great song. Hopefully people will rediscover that, And so what took you away from, the sort of the pop side of things? Was there anything that got you more into... I mean, I suppose you were growing up with music just before punk exploded, but what was there anything that got you into more of the adult side of rock and roll as opposed to pop music?
I don't think I ever have got into the adult side of rock and roll. I think I've always been in love with, loud guitar pop music has always been my favourite. But one record, I remember, going from the 60s into the 70s and going from being a child into a teenager, if you like, and being rebellious. I think I must have been about 13 when it came out. Was School's Out by Alice Cooper. And it's one of those records that just knocked me sideways. It was, again, loud, raucous, great guitars, and B, the subject matter was brilliant. School's Out Forever. Of course. Which at the time was a great concept.
Well, it's a perfect teenage rebellion song, isn't it, really?
It is.
You can't really get any better than that. School's Out,
Yeah, I don't think any music is ever as powerful as the music that we're into when we're teenagers. And that's, whenever I hear that, I feel like going and smashing a school window.
Making all that noise, 'cause they found
So, what was the first gig that you went to, or that you can remember, sort of a good show at the time?
Well, nobody. I mean, I grew up in Canterbury, and nobody ever came to Canterbury. Actually, I think they did. I mean, there was a few prog rock bands in the area, like Caravan. I think that's what Canterbury was famous for at the time, and Roxy Music came as well, but I don't think my mum would let me go. And sometimes we go on holiday to British holiday camps, and there might be a cover band there, or we go and see Freddie Starr or somebody. But it was relatively late that I started to see gigs. Yeah, I think the first band that I ever saw live that truly blew me away were the Heavy Metal Kids. And they never made a record that was as good as they were live. And Gary Holton was just an amazing performer with so much charisma. And I got to know him relatively well later on, because he lived round the corner from us when we lived in Maida Vale. But at the beginning, when they were playing places like the Marquee, just amazing. Really, really amazing. You know, they had a really rebellious look. It was very dirty rock and roll. It wasn't glam. It wasn't pub rock, because it was far more theatrical. Pub rock wasn't at all theatrical, was it? And Gary was fundamentally an actor, a bit like Alice Cooper or Meatloaf or one of those, and he inhabited this character on stage. He was extremely good at it. Yeah,
because he went on to be better known as Wayne in Auf Wiedersehen, Pet.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was a great character.
He was a very successful actor. And in fact, he was he formed a duo with Casino Steel from The Boys after Cass had gone back to Norway, and they were huge in Scandinavia.
Pick a track then by the Heavy Metal Kids.
Probably the best live track, Delirious it's called, which is a really good track.
So, any other memorable gigs over the years of your gig going? Anybody that sort of stands out?
I think the best performer I've ever seen live, and I'm not a fan of stadium gigs, but I saw him at Wembley Stadium, was Michael Jackson. I like Michael Jackson records. I wouldn't say that, I'm certainly a long way from being a number one Michael Jackson fan. But again, live, just stunning. I remember another really, really, the same person, a person who had the same kind of charisma. Actually, I can think of a few now we're talking, but another one was Dolly Parton, who I saw at the Hammersmith Odeon. And she had the ability to just turn a relatively large venue into a front room. You just felt you were in a front room listening to her telling stories and singing her songs. And then another person, I went to see Queen at the Rainbow, and Freddie Mercury had the same sort of ability. And periodically he would leave the stage for a costume change or something. And every time he left the stage, the whole atmosphere would just fall flat when you're left with these three other relatively boring people. You know, good musicians, but, you know, about as much charisma as an orange between them. And then Freddie Mercury would come back on and you'd be off again, you know?
Oh, that's great. So pick a track from, any one of those that you'd like to illustrate.
A really brilliant track is Now I'm Here by Queen.
You're not going to go for something off John Deacon's solo album or anything like that, then?
I'll give that a miss. I didn't even know he did one, to be honest with you.
Did I?
Here I stand, look around, but you won't see me. Now I'm here. Now I'm there. I'm just a new man. It's made me live again. Yeah. Baby, I was when you shook my hand. The light of the night was bright. The people on the stand didn't understand, but you knew my damn side. Whatever came of you and me, America's new bride to be. Don't worry, babe, I'm safe and sound. Down in the dungeon, just peaches and me. Don't I love you so? Yes, you made me live again. Come on, everybody. Yeah. Ooh, a thin moonbeam, a smoke-sweet sky. The beams of your love light trees. Don't move, don't sleep, don't feel no pain. The rain running down my face. The matches still light up the sky. And maybe a tear lives on in my eye. Down in the city, just who could let me? Alright.
So we've established that, you know, you've started playing the bass guitar. And what about your own musical adventures? What was the first band you were in? Did you start up at school or?
Yeah, I was in a band at school, but it was a load of old doodling around nonsense with a bunch of spotty hermits who didn't know what they were doing. And then I went on, and there was some old schoolmates. One in particular, a lad called Jim Penfold, whose parents had a pub outside Hastings. And I'd travel with a friend from Canterbury, Neil Aplin. We'd drive over there and had a band called the Hollywood Killers. And we were actually put on at the local Hastings University by Simon Fuller, who went on to manage the Spice Girls and do American Idol and all of that stuff. And I left the Hollywood Killers when I moved to London and fell in with the whole punk thing and joined the Boys. But the really interesting thing was that after the Boys, I went back with Jim and we carried on for a bit with the Hollywood Killers and recorded some tracks that I thought had never been released. And then last October, when we were in Japan playing some gigs over there, suddenly I heard this track and Nick Hughes from the band came over and said, "Oh, I really like this. What's this sort of Elton John sounding track?" And I heard it, I thought, bugger me, it's me. And it was the Hollywood Killers. And it turns out that the record was released in Spain and then the vinyl single had become an underground hit in Japan.
Oh, God.
So,
and you didn't know about it?
I didn't know about it until I went there. Well, actually, I sort of did but I was a bit arrogant because before the tour of Japan, a fan over there wrote and said, "You know, when you play here in Japan, you should play No Joke by the Hollywood Killers. And I thought to myself, well, that's very polite of him, this silly little sausage. He's obviously a super fan, but clearly doesn't know what he's talking about, because if we play No Joke, nobody will know what it is, and we might as well play any other song they've never heard. And then, bugger me, we get there and everybody knows it. And in fact, for one of the gigs in Tokyo, we had to play it twice. We learnt it and played it and had to play it twice because it went down so well.
Oh, fantastic. You should have got Mauro to play it at the 100 Club.
That would have topped it off.
Well, shall we hear that? That's a nice one.
Yeah, by all means. It's a good song.
Let's play Hollywood Killers and No Joke. So that was your first sort of recorded song, was it? That was your first foray into
No, that was actually recorded after the boys' first stint. So when did the boys first call it a day? Something like, I don't know whether it was 80 or 81 or whenever it was. And then I played with the Hollywood Killers for about a year, and we were huge in Kensington and Chelsea amongst all the rich girls who lived there. Yeah. And you'll see from the clips on YouTube, there's some live clips, and we became a really, really good live band. Yeah. And we used to do proper gigs. We supported the Lords of the New Church at one show. Yeah. Had a really interesting sort of poppy Doors sort of mixture sound, a little bit psychedelic. And as I say, played some proper gigs, and also played all of those balls, around Sloane Street and all there, the Berkeley Square Ball and all that. And then one time we played in a convent to all the 13-year-old convent girls who invaded the stage, and the nuns had to haul us off the stage and rescue us.
how did you sort of fall in with the boys and meet up with them? And
yeah, it's a tale I've told a few times, so apologies to people who've heard me before. But when I moved to London, I got a job in a T-shirt factory, and it was Jack Black, the drummer in the Boys, who got me that. And the foreman, which is just the most amazing thought, was John Plain. And he heard that I was a bass player and Jack was a drummer. And he said, come round to this place on Sunday, because there's a band there that we're trying to get together, and we're going to call ourselves the Boys, and we need a drummer and a bass player. So I went round to this place, which is 47A Warrington Crescent in Maida Vale. And it was a tiny 4-track studio that Matt Dangerfield had. And I think they were running it off electricity from a cable that was hooked up to the lamppost outside. And the people that I met there that first Sunday, I think, included Mick Jones from The Clash, Tony James, Billy Idol might have even been there. And this was before anybody was in a band. Nobody was in a band. The Clash didn't exist. The Generation X didn't exist. And I think over the weeks, Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols dropped by, and Brian James from the Damned and what have you. So before anybody was in a band, people were sort of congregating on a Sunday and just playing, jamming. Except we'd play the intro to Slow Death by the Flaming Groovies for about 4 hours at a time, because nobody was good enough to get past the intro.
This was probably the London SS time, was it? That era that they say that was everybody went through the doors of the audition for this London SS, the most famous. I
don't know really whether the London S ever really existed.
Yeah.
I think there was a band that Mick Jones had in his head that was called the London SS, and for a while in his head Matt Dangerfield was in that band. But whether they actually ever did anything apart from play the intro to Slow Death in Matt's 4-track studio, I don't know.
What was your first recorded song with the Boys, or give us an early track?
The first thing the Boys recorded was I don't know if it was a double A side. It was I Don't Care and So Depressing, which was recorded with a mobile studio in Victoria or somewhere, I think.
Well, let's play that. Let's play I Don't Care by the Boys. Well, the Boys were right there at the beginning of punk, weren't they? Again, they often get airbrushed out of these sort of retrospectives, don't they? But you were there right at the very beginning.
Well, they do and they don't, because, I mean, at the time, we were a bit too poppy for punk, so we're sort of dismissed a little because of that, although we had our fans, that's for sure. Although the Boys weren't the biggest band in 1977, and we didn't have top 20 hits like a lot of other people did, when we came back, we would be the people headlining festivals in Germany, and other bands that had hits in the 77 and were much, much bigger would be supporting us. And I think that's just a function of the fact that we made some great records. And over the years, those records rose to the top.
Well, you're right when you said the boys wrote some great songs. And can I play one of my, just a classic? It's Brickfield Nights. We've got to play it. We've got to fit that into the episode. I mean, it's a great pop song.
It is. It's brilliant.
Then the girls came with the long hair, high heels and the makeup never quite right. Every night we meet at the same place, same time. Saturdays at the local dance hall, they carved our initials on the school wall. Remember those Brickfield nights. Remember those Brickfield fights. It seems so long. Those days are gone. Dark nights down Brickfield. Remember those Brickfield nights.
And that was Brickfield Nights, a classic from the boys. And you're now in a band called the Big Heads, which started off as was more like a solo record, your first album, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't have much choice because I didn't have a band. I sort of left the boys unexpectedly and found myself on my own. But I had a bunch of songs, and luckily had a friend, a promoter in Argentina, who put me together with Tony Barber.
Oh.
And Tony Barber is, very much a DIY home studio sort of bloke, except he's got a pretty professional setup. So he had a little studio at the end of the garden of a house in Essex, in the middle of nowhere, that was originally Knox from the Vibrators' granddad's house, and that was taken over by Crass.
Oh.
And they lived there. And in fact, Penny from Crass still lives there, to the best of my knowledge. But down the end of the garden, there was this studio, and Tony Barber and I made the record in that studio. Got my friend Vom, who played with the boys and is in Die Totenhosen in Germany, played the drums, and there were a few other people who dropped by. James Stevenson insisted on coming over and playing on a couple of tracks, which was really nice of him, because he's a great guitarist. But mainly because I didn't have anybody else to do it, and also because I wanted to do it, I played and sang just about everything else.
Well, pick a track from the first record then, one that you would recommend.
I think the most popular track on it is Kelly's Gone Insane.
Yeah, I mean, we've played that before on our Retrosonic podcast and don't need an excuse to play it again, so let's hear it.
like any other day. He said hello, then she blew his head away. Kelly's gone insane. Kelly's gone insane. Kelly's gone insane. There was no reason or rhyme why she committed that crime. Now she's running to time. She just don't know why they treat her so. Every day at the record store, they all act the same. They say hello but don't wanna know her name. Kelly's gone insane. Kelly's gone insane. Kelly's gone insane. She ain't gonna say why. She had it in for that guy. She'll just sit here all night.
And so now you've sort of you've got a great band together. I know I've seen you play with various lineups of the big heads over the years, but now you seem to have a settled lineup. Am I right? I mean, you got a great
touch wood. I hope it is, because it's such a great lineup, and it's been stable for about 3-4 years, something like that, and it's just brilliant. I mean, the other three are just brilliant, and I love them. I love the way they play. And I just love the way that they like showing off like I do. Yeah. And at the same time, that they, especially with the latest record, Don't Blame Yourself, you can hear their influence, because obviously they're from a completely different generation to me. So their influences are different. Mm. And whereas, like on Little Big Head, I might try and play the guitar like Johnny Thunders or Johnny Ramone. They'll be trying to play it like something from the 90s or the noughties. And so it just brings a different angle to it.
So tell us about the other big heads. Who's in the band at the moment?
Well, on the drums, we've got two Welsh girls. One, Karen Jones, on the drums. All of them I met through friends of friends in London. She is, I think, the lightest drummer in the world, and gets really upset when people look at her and don't think that she can hit the drums. It makes her hit the drums even harder, and she can whack them. So beware, because she's got a bit of muscle. Sophie is dangerous. She's a fantastic character, and she even puts up with the fact that she is on my left-hand side, which is the side that's got the head of the guitar on it. Yeah. And of course, I'm moving around. So the number of times I've hit her with that guitar, I've lost count of, but she just finds it funny, which is just as well, because she's come off stage with black eyes and everything. And then on the other side, we got Nick Hughes, who's been and continues to be in about 4,000,001 bands. We came across him because the role models supported us at Nambucas. And when we were talking about, I think after Mauro had joined the Godfathers and didn't really have the time, he'd had 2 children as well, didn't really have the time to be out touring with us. We were looking around, and Sophie, in fact, said, "Oh, what about that tall bloke from the Role Models?" And he's got his own band, the Middle Night Men, with releasing records at the moment, and they're worth checking out.
Well, it's great that you've got a sort of settled lineup, and let's pick another great track. This is, again, another one of my favourites, if I may, Bombs Away.
Yeah, I think it's one of the highlights of my whole career. I mean, obviously, you got First Time in Brickfield Nights from the Boys, but Bombs Away, I think, is right up there with those 2 records. It's one of those times when everything comes together and you come out with something great, I think.
Yeah, it's a great single. Well, we can play it now. Let's hear Bombs Away from Duncan Reid and the Big Heads. You've obviously been touring now for playing gigs all over the world for quite some time now. Have you ever shared a bill or a stage with any of your musical heroes? You must. I know a lot of musicians were fans of the boys and your music. So, but how about you as a fan yourself? Have you ever found yourself?
Well, obviously, I was lucky enough to tour with the Ramones and actually appear on stage with them, which was a real thrill. Doing the backing vocals to "Baby I Love You" when they needed a bit of hand to play it live, which is great. Johnny Thunders got up and played live with on stage with the boys, which was cool. And Marianne Faithfull.
Wow. Some cast, isn't it?
Yeah, reading the lyrics to Memphis, Tennessee while we played it. So yeah, there's been a few.
Yeah. Right. So do you want to pick a track from one of those? One of your sort of music?
Yeah, well, one of the best records of all time is Johnny Thunders' Heartbreakers, Born to Lose.
Yeah, good choice. Let's hear it.
That's the way it goes. The city is so cold, and I'm so. That's why I said, hey, born to lose, born to lose, baby, I'm born to lose. Nothing to do.
coming into contact with all these people, as you have, your sort of musical heroes, have you ever picked up a prized bit of musical memorabilia along the way? Anything you've half-inched from a changing room, or got anyone to sign? Or
I've never managed to hang on to anything. Jack Black actually kept a scrapbook. He kept all the press from the boys, but I've never managed to do that. I've never tried to do it. There would have been a few things over the years, that's for sure. I'm extremely proud of my bass guitar. Especially the way it's developed, because it's a very old vintage Rickenbacker. There's a bloke who works in Knox's charity shop. He works out the back, making and fixing and painting guitars, called Philippe. And he sprayed it purple for me. Oh. And then there's another bloke in America called Randy America who did the headstock and made one that says Duncanbacker. So I have the only purple Duncanbacker in the world, which is a thing of beauty.
Well, they're ready to be mass-produced, aren't they? Good merchandise.
They should be. Well, actually, when we were crowdfunding the current album, I put it up there and said if anybody was willing to pay £10,000, then they could have it. And the money would go towards making the album, but no bastard bought it for some reason.
Well, at least you got the album out, in the end.
Exactly, without flogging the guitar.
But you were given an accolade, weren't you, from your touring and your overseas appearances? You were given sort of quite a high-profile accolade from somewhere. Tell us about this.
You're talking about Montevideo?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, I wrote a song called Montevideo, and we made a video that was partly shot there because it's a quiet town. It reminds me of a sort of South American version of Geneva, in that every afternoon is like Sunday afternoon and cars pootle down the road. Apart from this one bar where I always seem to get completely shit-faced and it ends up being 7 o'clock in the morning and I don't know how. So I wrote a song about how they're all taking drugs and partying and going bonkers all the time. And the government liked it so much they gave me a medal, which is called Visitante Illustre. It's the equivalent to the Keys of the City. And the only other British musicians to have it are Paul McCartney and Elton John.
Well, and you're doing a great job for the tourism there, then, aren't you? You're smashing.
That's what they liked. That's what they liked. You know, they wanted everybody to come to Montevideo to get shit faced, but they'll be disappointed. They're extremely nice people in Uruguay, and they know how to have a good time. But it's a quiet old town.
Well, let's hear their new national anthem then, shall we? Let's hear Montevideo from Duncan Reid and the Big Heads. Yeah, you must be missing not being able to tour, because I know you sort of come alive on stage, don't you? I mean, the energy of especially the new lineup is fantastic, isn't it? And
yeah, no, it is. Yeah, of course, we're all missing it. But there's nothing to be done about it. So I'm not crying over it. And in a way, having a break was good, although really strange time to release a record. Release a record when you can't play live. But there you go. And as soon as we're allowed back, it'll be even better.
I mean, you have been keeping busy, haven't you, as a band? I mean, some people have sort of disappeared and or sort of not handled the lockdown very well. But you, as a band, you've actually been pretty active, haven't you? You've released some great videos.
Yeah, and that's been one of the good things to come out of it, because with all this time, I said to everybody, right, let's just make some videos, and we were all separated, especially for the first one, To Live or Live Not. I said, just shoot some stupid stuff miming along to the song, and then we'll edit it all together. And it came out brilliantly. Everybody had some really good ideas, and for some reason, because it was back at the time of a toilet roll shortage, there's loads of toilet roll in it, which is really funny. And then we just done another one of the very radio friendly Motherfucker, except all the fuckers are edited out. So there's more words edited out than is left in.
Yeah.
Every time a fucker comes up, we put our hands over our mouths. So that's worked really well as well. And then we're working on another one, which will be the Grim Reaper, which will be interesting because it's got a totally different vibe to it. It's a sort of jolly little song with a very heavy lyric. So we'll see how that one turns out.
So we can see the videos on your website. Where can people sort of find out more about you?
Duncan Reid and thebigheads.com.
Yeah.
I think the two videos we spoke about earlier, there's a tab for Don't Blame Yourself, and the videos are on there. We've also got a YouTube channel.
Oh, great.
And you find other stuff on there. If you go to the blog section of the website, there's... I made these videos about writing a song, where I did a daily video blog, starting with a blank sheet of paper and ending up with a demo, which was really popular. And all of those videos are together in one blog on that site as well. So there's lots of good stuff.
Yeah, well, I'll put a link up. I'll put a little feature to go along with the release of the podcast at retromanblog.com, where I'll put all the links, maybe sort of put a couple of the videos up and put links to your websites and some of the bands we've talked
Great.
about.
Yeah, nice one.
Can investigate a bit further. Well, let's go back to you as a fan. Let's just go back to you as a music fan. And one thing I like to know is can you just pick a little bit of fun here? Let's pick what you would consider a perfect example of a 45 RPM single. A great record.
Jeepster.
Yeah, good choice.
It's just it's got a great beat. It's got great guitar playing, and it's got ridiculous lyrics.
Perfect combination.
I like to write songs with a story, which is sort of in the Ray Davies sort of tradition. Everything he writes has got real, like Lola, it's a story, or whatever. It's usually about what's going on in his life. And down the far other end, you've got people like Marc Bolan and Noel Gallagher as well, who I think has said at times that his lyrics don't necessarily mean anything, but they sound great.
Reclining in your hair, 'cause you're my baby.
Going back to a single, another single that I think is brilliant is "Wicked Games" by Chris Isaak. It's a great song. I like a good bit of Americana, but also it's got a sound to it that I've certainly incorporated on a lot of tracks on our albums. That very reverby sound I really love, and we definitely used it on tracks like Another City and that.
Yeah, it's a good choice, actually. It's a great track. And I think, well, let's play that. Let's play Chris Isaak and Wicked Game.
I never dreamed that I'd meet somebody like you, and I never dreamed that I'd lose somebody like you. No, I don't wanna fall in love. No, wicked game to play to make me feel this way. What a wicked thing to do, to let me dream of you. What a wicked thing to say, you never felt this way. What a wicked thing to do, make me dream of you. And I don't wanna fall in love. No, I don't wanna fall in love with you.
And what about an album? Is there anything? I mean, this is very difficult, isn't it? No matter how you are as a music fan, it's very difficult to pick, for me, what I would consider a classic album. You know, where the artwork, the production, the time, the sound, the song sequencing. You know, there's no filler. It's very rare. I mean, I can think. You know, there's a few like maybe Parallel Lines by Blondie. Never mind the Bollocks. You know, have you got any examples of a perfect album?
I think Sgt. Pepper is near perfect. It's only spoiled by a ridiculous George Harrison Indian track. I think the second and third Ramones albums are nearly perfect. The first album would be, but of course it's at the time it was very punk, but the production's a bit rough. It would have been great if they'd had the same production values that they'd got on the second and third albums on the first one, because the songs are amazing. Yeah.
Which one would you go for the Ramones?
I think it'd be the Ramones' Leave Home.
Yeah.
And you know, the track Swallow My Pride on it is just a great track. But they wrote so many great tracks. Bastards.
Winter is here and it's gonna swallow my pride. And things are looking
looking grim, but they're looking good again. Swallow my pride. This lipstick shit says that. What is in it? Oh, is that way? Swallow my pride. Oh yeah. Swallow my pride. Oh yeah. Swallow my pride. Oh yeah. Is it and it's going on to you, swallow my pride. And things are looking grim, but they're looking good again, swallow my pride. Oh, gonna have a real good time, and everything's gonna be real fine. Swallow my pride, oh yeah. Swallow my pride, oh yeah. Swallow my pride, oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Swallow my pride. And things are looking grim, but they're looking good again. Swallow my pride.
Oh, great. Excellent. That's Swallow My Pride from the Ramones' Leave Home album. That's a great choice. So thank you, Duncan. It's been great talking to you. Very interesting and great to see you again. And obviously we're going to end on and talk about the new album. Don't Blame Yourself. Tell us a little bit about the new album and then we'll pick a track from it to end on.
14 songs. Every single one of them a work of genius. A very varied album. From the very T-Rex influenced title track to, as I said, the Take That influenced the Grim Reaper. But yeah, we were talking about Bombs Away and my belief that that's right up there with everything that I've ever done. And there's one track on it, To Live or Live Not, which was the first one we made a video to, which I think is right there with everything I did. I think the lyrics are brilliant. They're very funny. Just everything about it is just better than anything anybody else has ever done.
A bold claim. Well, let's see. Well, people can make their own mind up then, Duncan.
Actually, I've just been doing an advertising campaign on Facebook with the video of it. And one of the things that happens is you put it out there and you get all these comments underneath like, this is complete and utter shit and all this. So there was one guy in South America who wrote, "What is this horse done?" underneath the video on Facebook. So the next advert I put out in was when we put the motherfucker video out. I put on the advert. Luckily, everybody who heard our last video thought it was great, apart from Ricardo Vasquez of Buenos Aires, who thought it was horse dung. Make up your own mind. And then I tagged him in the advert.
Great revenge there, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you don't mess with me.
Well, the album's certainly not horse dung. It's a great record. Yeah, I'm sure you're really proud of it. And
I certainly am.
And we'll play out with the track. But thank you, Duncan. It's been a pleasure talking to you. All the best.
And to you, Steve.
And well, let's end on To Live or Live Not from the fantastic new album. And Duncan Reid and the Big Heads, Don't Blame Yourself. And thanks for listening, everybody. And thanks again, Duncan. All the best.
Cheers.
Gonna rent my house out to a stranger. Gonna let them treat it like their own. Gonna move abroad and try some danger. Gonna try a taste of the unknown. I spent my whole life being safe and steady. Now it's time to roll the dice. To live or live not, that is the question. To love or love not, before my time's up. To lose the whole plot. Let's give confession. To sin or sin not. I fast plane to Caracas. Why go somewhere that's far too safe? Gonna find a girl who plays maracas. Gonna ask her out with all her mates. We'll go dancing till the sun comes up. Sleep all day, then start again. To live or live not. Start the ignition. To give all I've got. Let's seize the day. Let's stop the ride. Carpe diem. To dare or dare not. That's what I say. To live or live not. That is the question. To love or love not. Before my time's up. To lose the whole plot. Let's give confession. To sin or sin not.